Hi, and welcome to today's math lesson with Mr. Douglas. We are going on the exciting journey of taking a look at subtracting fractions and regrouping. Are you ready? Here we go. So today we're going to be looking at a concept of fractions. Specifically, we're looking at subtraction. But we're going to look at something even more specific. It's going to be about something called regrouping. And it's going to be basically taking a look at what happens when you get negatives. So it's a little bit of a conceptual lesson. So first off, let's figure out what a fraction really is. You know, a fraction is part of a whole. So when I draw this bar here, this rectangular bar, that's considered one whole. And basically, you can go and cut up wholes into pieces, nice even pieces for us. So I've cut it up into 5 pieces, and let's say I just went and shaded this, say 2 pieces of it. There we go. So how many parts of the whole are there? Well, there is 2 out of 5 parts. So 2 out of 5. Okay? If I shaded in all of them, that would mean I shaded in 5 pieces out of 5. And you know, with simplifying, that would just be equal to 1. So remember, fractions are about parts of wholes. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about subtracting. So when we're talking about subtracting, you need to have common denominators, don't you? You need common denominators for sure. And how you do that is by getting the LCM of the two numbers. So, you know, your basic kind of example, let's do a nice easy example. Sure. Let's do 4/5, and let's go and take away a half. Okay, so 4/5 take away a half. So I need the LCM. I need the LCM of 5 and 2. So what's the LCM of 5 and 2? The easiest way to get a multiple, not necessarily the LCM, but to get a multiple, it's just to multiply them together. So what's 5 times 2? It's going to be 10. So I'm going to turn both of these things. So 5 is going to turn into 10. I'm timesing it by 2. So I'm going to times the 4 by 2, and I'm going to get 8. And the 2 multiplies by 5 to get to 10. So I'm going to multiply the 1 by 5 and get 5. So we end up getting 8 minus 5, which is going to be just 3 over 10. And the bottom stay the same. The denominator stay the same. So it's 3 over 10. That's kind of your basic sort of fraction problem, like that. Now, let's take a look at what regrouping will look like, and we're talking about negatives. And in order for that to happen, we need some help here. So we need some help. We need to go and bring out Math Sheep. So we need Math Sheep here. And Math Sheep actually is courtesy of this wonderful little student named Megan. She's in my class, and she created Math Sheep. So I'm going to do a really bad job of redrawing Math Sheep. But you're going to get the idea of what Math Sheep kind of looks like. And there's Math Sheep's kind of face, and we'll just give Math Sheep some eyes and maybe a little mouth like that. The most important thing about Math Sheep, though, is Math Sheep. You know what? That's just not giving justice to Math Sheep. And I know you're thinking, like, I have math notes to take right now. I don't have time to draw sheep, but maybe Math Sheep is going to be critical in how we go and solve things. So we're going to go and draw Math Sheep again. You know, and drawing animals is quite a bit of fun, isn't it? We've had quite a few different animals come and help us over the past. So this is looking better now. This is giving a little bit more. And here, I think Math Sheep is kind of like that. And then Math Sheep has a bow tie. So it has a bow tie, and the tie, you know, it's a fancy sheep because it likes to do math, and of course it still has to have feet, right? So this is going to be Math Sheep. So Math Sheep is going to do something about regrouping. And a few things to think about is this. So everybody go and quickly try and draw, what does 1 and 2/3 actually look like? So 1 2/3 would look like this. Here's 1, there's a whole bar, right? A whole bar, and then 2/3, 1 and 2/3. There's my thirds, and there's 2 of them. So that's 1 2/3. Now, what does, let's say 2, and this is going to be weird, 2 5/4 look like? What does 2 5/4 look like? Well, first let's do the 2. So there's our 2. But then we have to do 5/4. So remember, the 4 means how many pieces there are. So there's 4 pieces. 1, 2, and 3, 4. But there's 5/4. So I need an extra fourth, don't I? I need that little extra fourth, because now I have 5/4. So what is 2 5/4 really? 2 5/4 is really 3 1/4. So it's going to take the idea of borrowing. So I'm going to borrow stuff. And if you take a look at what just kind of happened there, is that this 5/4 is really 1 1/4, isn't it? 1 1/4. And if I add it to that 2, I would get 3 1/4. And that's how I would get 3 1/4. So, you know, you might need to pause your screen to take a look at this and just kind of just think about it. Because this is the conceptual idea of what we're going to do right now. Let's go do it. Math sheep, are you ready? Bah. That's my math sheep voice. Here we go. Let's start off nice and easy with a nice easy example. Let's go and do 4/5, and I'm going to minus 1/4. So 4/5, I'm going to minus 1/4. So same rules. We need a common denominator, and we're going to use 20. I like to work vertically, ideally, in the ideal situation, so 20. So remember 5, how did 5 become 20? I times it by 4. So my 4 will multiply by 4, so I'll get 16. And, okay, we're going to stop this right now. No, I must. Take 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is get a little example here going for you. And we use the idea, the concept of borrowing. So we're going to do 1/4. Actually, we'll make it 3 1/4. And we're going to take away 1 4/5. Okay, so we got mixed numbers here. I don't want you to go and turn these into improper fractions and do it that way. How I want you to go and do it is like this. So you deal with the fractions part first. So deal with the fractions. And then the second thing you're going to do is deal with the whole numbers. So deal with the fractions first and then deal with the whole numbers. Okay. Let's go and deal with this first part here. So 1/4 minus 4/5. So we need common denominators. So our common denominators are going to be 20. 4 times what gave you 20? 5. So 1 times 5 is going to give you 5. 5 times what is 20? 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. So 5 minus 16. What? 5 minus 16. What is going on here? That's negative 11/20. Interesting. Okay, let's go and deal with the whole numbers now. What is 3 minus 1? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's 2. So let's put it all together. What do you get? You get 2 and negative 11/20. Now that seems weird. Just take a look at that. That seems weird. We can't write that. If we have a negative, that means we're short 11 pieces. We're short 11 pieces out of 20. I need to do some borrowing. I'm going to borrow a whole from that 2. So I'm going to borrow a whole. And that whole has 20 pieces. 20. So I'm going to borrow all 20 of those pieces. And that's one whole. So if I borrowed it from this, that means I borrowed 1. So I'm going to take 1 away. So now I have 1 left over. But I borrowed 20 little pieces. That's awesome. Thank you very much. So I borrowed 20 pieces. 20 pieces. Like that. So I had negative 11, and I borrowed 20 more. So now I have 9 positive pieces and still have 20. And that's my final answer. And that is called regrouping or borrowing. Thank you, Math Sheep. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Math with Mr. Douglas. Hopefully you enjoyed your time with myself and Math Sheep, of course. Until next time, have a great day.